Our next speaker is Jerald. No, I'm sorry. Is Michael Liner. Michael Liner.
What? That's the phone. That's the phone.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the council. Good evening. In the subject of the cards, I wrote Jerald R. The reason why is when I came up here to make a presentation, it didn't have so much to do with the present incident that recently just happened. It had to do with the fact that this man's name is kind of rung out within the communities of Brownsville and the south and north of for quite some time. I've had many incidences with this particular officer on several occasions. Twice, personally, this has happened, and I wasn't the subject of whatever judicial action he was taking. You know, I may have been with a friend, you know, or I may have inadvertently witnessed it with a neighbor. But on those two of those occasions where I was personally there, one was with a friend, one happened to be with a neighbor. The first time with a friend, Jerald R, you know, pulled over a vehicle that my friend was driving without any provocation. We were sober, you know, he was picking me up from work. When questioned about the reason for the pullover, Jerald R just simply stated we were speeding. But he had followed us from a gas station which is 4 blocks away. We then brought up this fact, how is that possible if you were behind us? Jerald R, you know, then stated that he had witnessed my friend buy a beer. Like I said, we were both sober and you know, submitted to any kind of breathalyzer test to show him. We just, you know, went there. At this point, I asked Mr. R for his badge number and his name. You know, I hadn't met him yet. He refused, and then when, you know, I brought up the point, well, sir, you are a public servant, and as a public servant, that is public information. Why else wear a badge, you know, in plain view of any person walking on the street with that particular information? I took out a cell phone, you know, with a light on it, and showing it on his badge, and looked at him and said, you just gave me a false name. And he had nothing to say, and I said, I'd like you to call backup immediately. At the other point, you know, he stepped away and said, you guys stay right here. 2 other senior police officers showed up, and one of them actually walked up to Art and said, and I quote, Art, what have you done this time? Those 2 police officers made Officer Art leave that scene, and they were kind of left to deal with my friend and myself. The mother of my child was also there, and at one point, because I was bringing up the fact that he had lied about his name, he lied about his badge number, he actually went up to the mother of my child and said, do me a favor and drop it out, as, you know, pertaining to me. As a public servant, that's an attitude that's on a personal level. That, you know, that's not what law is or legislation or anything of that sort. Those things are based off of objectiveness. And that comment specifically, already precipitated by the fact that he lied about who he was to the public, which he is supposed to serve, already compounded that fact. Incidents later where at a friend's house in the area of Garden, right across the street from Everman, there were people that lived there, and it was not uncommon for us to have people stay over, you know, traveling vans. Mr. R came upon a kid in a van who was checking his email through Wi-Fi on a laptop, and he proceeded to make an illegal search. And I was under the impression that when any kind of search is ever taken place, that 2 officers have to be there. I could be wrong in that, but that does also seem somewhat of a common sense. And the main point I'm bringing up, and there are several other instances, if anyone here were to go to those communities between Brownsville and North Hill and just knock on doors, that man's name comes up frequently. There is a lot of, I guess, distrust and somewhat malice. I know I've done one real quick point. I don't hold any malice or ill will toward this man, and I think this is the worst part of it all. If I did, then that would mean that he was an exception, and that he would be singled out, and that I felt that his operation of some sort was kind of detracting from what the police department in the city was doing. The fact that I don't hold it and kind of equate it to, well, that's just how things are in this town, you know, I think is probably the saddest point about all of this. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Bruce Williams.
say, glad everybody showed up for one. Thank you, council, for having this meeting. I'd like to say, give my condolences to the family of Victor Steen. I don't know him, but I feel your pain. This is an issue that's been going on in Pensacola for a while. This is something that we need to take care of now, not later. We both have confidence in our officers. Do their job like they are hired for. Not take the law in their own hand and do what they want to do. I can understand where the folks from Sluggos, I appreciate y'all standing up, because actually, it won't be too many people would have done that. That boy was killed. Ain't no and, ifs, or buts about it. He was. The thing of it is, I passed through there 6 o'clock that morning. I didn't even know that the boy was still laying there in that doggone, on the corner. I got there when they got the record up off him. The thing that puzzles me the most is, why is it when he ran over that boy, why it took 3 hours for him to get the car off of him? Why didn't they just go ahead and make sure if he was deceased or was he still alive? Why it took so long? That's my main objective about this. This has got to be stopped. It really has. Because it's going to get to this point like they're doing up north. If you don't have no confidence in your police, the best thing going to end up being is protect yourself at all costs. We don't need that here. But that's what's going on in the world today. We don't need that here. If they can't do their job, what they are hired to do, get them off. Point blank. This just don't make no sense. You cannot justify tasing a guy from a car driving, flips off a bike, and you run over him. How? Them cars, police cars, get maintenance every day. They are checked, inspected every day for brakes, leaks, oil changes, all that. What can that officer really say to justify him for running over that boy and drug him? I went there today to make sure that I was right about what I was reading online. That's a good distance from that curb to where that car stopped at. The car don't have no good brakes on it. We need to do something about this seriously. We really do. I appreciate y'all coming. I just had to get that on my shoulder.